Shalom, this is your brother Yashimai from the GMS Atlanta camp. Before I get into this message, all praises, all glory, and all honor to Yahweh, Ba'asham, Yahushai, Ba'asham, Rakakadash, and double honors to the elders and the apostles, the great millstone, whom will teach well. This can be a reading and, kind of delving into some more scriptures from this book that came in the mail. It's called Marks of a Lost Race, and it was written by the beloved Abba Bibbens, who we know through the Spirit to be the coming of John the Baptist slash Elijah. All right, according to Malachi 4, verse 5 and 6, man. And matter of fact, we'll just go ahead and start off with that one, It says, "Behold, I will send you Elijah the prophet before the coming of the great and dreadful day of the Most High, Yahweh Hashem Yahushai, and he shall turn the heart of the fathers to the children, and the heart of the children to their fathers, lest I come and smite the earth with a curse," man. And that's exactly who the beloved Abba Bibbens was, man. He was Elijah the prophet that was sent to come back, that was sent to warn the nation of Israel, the so-called blacks, natives, and Hispanics, to tell them about who we really are, and to tell them about the name of Yahweh Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, and to expose Esau Edom for who he is, and to also bring to our attention that salvation is only for Israel, man. See, Yahweh Bahasham, Yahweh Shai put his spirit into the beloved Abba Bibbens so that, as a way of mercy, man, a way of mercy and grace for us to get ourselves together, what? Before the great and dreadful day of the Most High, Yahweh Hashem, Yahweh Shai. And I actually want to get a couple words here on verse 6, because it shows you that the so-called blacks, natives, and Hispanics are the true nation of Israel, and it's a cut against those Ish people that are proclaiming themselves to be the people, okay? Because when you go into the word, he shall turn, in the Hebrew, the word is shawab, and that's to return, to turn back, to return, to come back, all right, of spiritual relations, to turn back to the Most High, all right. And that's exactly what the beloved Abba Bibbens did, man. When that spirit came upon him, man, after 350 years of us not knowing who we were, man, we were turned back unto our understanding of who we were as a people, of who we are as a people, man. All right. And the reason I say that it's a cut, the reason that I say that it's a cut for these small hats, man, is because when did they ever have to turn back? When did they ever lose the understanding of who they were? They can't tell you. Because if you ask them, they've always been the people, but that doesn't line up scripturally, man. All right, but that's just a brief history on who the beloved Abba Bibbens is. Man, so far it's a very great book. I'm really enjoying the read. It's a beautiful thing to see the actual writings of Abba Bibbens. Basically, just I'll give you a quick preface here. Is they found a book that he had written, and it was like a rough draft, and so this it says edited and prefaced by Chief Prince Zebulon Ben Louis Hadakia. He basically went through and he proofed it and stuff like that. But these are the actual writings of the beloved Abba Bibbens, man. All right. But heck, let's get right into it, man. I want to read this part right here. Okay, that's pretty cool. It lets me highlight it. It says, when a nation is led into captivity, there has to be an emancipation to free him. This was done to the so-called Negro, man. And I want to get that word emancipation and then just build on that here, because the word emancipation is a setting free, man. And see, that setting free, first and foremost, was preached to Israel, via Yahweh Shai. This is Luke 4, verse 18. It says, "The Spirit of the Most High, Yahweh, is upon me, because he has anointed me to preach the gospel to the poor. Now we know Israel to be that poor man. He has sent me to heal the brokenhearted, to preach deliverance to the captives, and recovering of sight to the blind. Right? Showing us who we truly are as a people. Right? To set at liberty them that are bruised, man. See that emancipation is through, first and foremost, was through what Yahushua did for us on the cross. But then again, the emancipation was returned back unto us when Abba Bibbens stepped on the scene and told us who we are as a nation, man. Who we were, man. Because see, prior to Yahweh Hashem Yahushai sending His Spirit unto Abba Bibbens, man, we were held captive. We were held captive to the wages of sin, which is death, man. Because what were we doing? We were observing the festivities of this world. We were defiling our temples with unclean foods, man. Voting, praying unto idols like Caesar Borgia, praying for America, praying for the wicked, man. Hey, we were we were set free again when the Spirit came on the scene, starting with the beloved Abba Bibbens, and then going down to the elders and the apostles, man. All right, but let's continue to read here. It says, now when you try to explain these things to our people, they will not consider them. The Most High has compared us with the two dumbest animals in the world. Read Isaiah 1-3. The ox knoweth his owner, and the ass his master crib, but Israel does not know. My people does not consider. And that's true, man, because when you try to tell our people about, who we are, man, they don't want to hear it. Even though, like, you go back and, you can show them in Deuteronomy 28, they still can't get it. When you show them that very last verse, it says that, it says, I will take you back onto Egypt in ships. And, it's talking about the transatlantic slave trade. They still don't get it. We know it ultimately. It's all because, they have been blinded, according to Isaiah 44, verse 18. The Most High has shut their eyes so that they could not hear, man. But, hey, that's also prophecy. It says, Israel does not consider. All right? And then the beloved Abba Bibbens, he goes into Jeremiah 50, verse 6 and 7. And I've actually got that pulled up because it cuts off. And it's right here. It says, Jeremiah 50, verse 6, it says, my people has been lost sheep. Matter of fact, let's go ahead and get that. And look, I'll say this too, man. Sheep are very dumb animals, man. Sheep will follow you. If you go in a circle for a week, they will follow you in a circle for a week. Matter of fact, I'm sure that you guys remember that video a couple years ago of the sheep going in circle for like days. I mean, sheep are really dumb animals, man. And the Most High calls us sheep. But I want to go into that word lost, okay? I want to go into the word lost because Yahushua also talked about, he was come for the lost sheep of the house of Israel. All right, which again also points that salvation is only for the Israelites, so-called blacks and Hispanics. But when you go into that word lost, that word is abad. And that word abad is to be lost, to be strayed, to blot out, to do away with, cause to finish. Hey, again, that goes straight back and shows you that who was blotted out, who had their heritage taken from them, because the beloved Abba Bibbens, even he speaks about it in the book, a couple pages earlier. He gives the example of the so-called blacks. He says the minute that a black is born, he's already destroyed. He's already blotted out. Why? Because he's called black. Hell, and that goes true for the so-called Hispanics too, man. But he brings up a very eye-opening point. He says, he's destroyed when he comes out of the womb because, first of all, he's called black. Okay, and You know, there is no like Asia nation of black. You know that doesn't make sense, man. Because like for example, a so-called Chinese, he comes out and he's Chinese, and we can find China on a map. When a so-called Australian comes out, we can find the nation of Australia on a map. But then when a so-called black man comes out, you cannot find the landmass of black on a map, man. So it's a fallacy, man. It's a lie, man. See, again, it shows you that the people that had been blotted out, lied to about who they were, those are the so-called, those are the Israelites, man. So-called blacks, natives, and Hispanics. All right. Continuing on verse 6, it says, their shepherds have caused them to go astray. They have turned them away on the mountains. They have gone from mountain to hill. They have forgotten their resting place, man. And look, Israel as a nation has consistently gone off, man. Baruch 2 verse 30 says that we are a stiff-necked people, man. Our people started to go off, as soon as they left Egypt, man. They started to buck up against Moses, right? And then, it's all over the book of Judges, Kings, and then in Ezekiel chapter 8, uh, the Most High takes Ezekiel and he takes him into the temple, and he shows the priests are burning incense unto idols, man. All right, so when Scripture says that their shepherds have caused them to go astray, man, the the ancient ones, even before we lost the understanding of who we were as a people, they were leading the nation astray. And you know what? That still rings true to this day, man. Because who's who who are the biggest names in Christianity, man? A lot of times it's Israelites. You got that guy Creflo Dollar. You got that guy Bishop McClendon. And then you got that guy that dude that fat dude that goes to those Diddy parties, the Potter's house, TD Jakes. There you go, yeah, TD Jakes, man. Our people are still causing our people to go astray through false doctrines, man. It says they have forgotten their resting place, man. Let's get that, man. If my internet pulls up, and that word is rabatazah, resting or dwelling place, place of lying down. All right. Scripture says that He is our rest, man, and we forgot Yahweh Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, man. All right, because we don't have no rest in this place called America, man. It's actually called the valley of the shadow of death, man, because death is around every corner, whether it's through, the arrow that flies by day, or whether it's through pestilence, man. There's no guarantee that people make it home, man. Especially here, man. This shit's gone off, all right. But verse 7, it says, all that found them have devoured them, and their adversary said, we offend not. Let's stop right here and let's get a precept on this, right? It says, all that found them have devoured them. Now, who are all of them that found us? Well, all of them that found us, is mentioned in Revelations 11, when matter of fact, let's just get it. Well, first, let's get Psalms 83, all right? And we're going to get straight to the point. It says, they have Psalms 83, verse 3 says, they have taken crafty counsel against thy people and consulted against thy hidden ones. They have said, come and let us cut them off from being a nation, that the name of Israel may be no more in remembrance. For they have consulted together with one consent, they are confederate against thee. The tabernacles, and it's not talking about actual, houses, but it's talking about the bloodline, like the houses, the bloodlines or the tabernacles of Edom and Ishmaelites, Moab, and the Hagarenes, Gabal, Ammon, Amalek, Philistines, with the inhabitants of Tyre. All these people, all these nations, starting with the wicked Esau, Edom first, all these nations have fed upon our dead bodies, man. And matter of fact, I call that Revelation 11. So I'm gonna just go ahead and get that just for just for the sake of thoroughness. It says right here it says, "And they that dwell upon the earth shall rejoice over them and make merry and shall send gifts one to another, because these two prophets tormented them that dwell on the earth." Man, see, when you continue to read on, it says, "We offend not, because they have sinned against the Most High Yahweh Bashem Yahushai, the habitation of justice, even the Most High, the hope of their fathers." And we go back to Revelations 11. It says, "Because these two prophets tormented them." Who's them? The same group of people that we just read about in Psalms 83. It says these two prophets tormented them that dwelled on the earth, man. See, they know who we are, man. See, even though, just like the beloved Abba Bibbens beautifully quoted, man, even though Israel does not consider, man, these nations know who we were, right? That's why Jeremiah 50 verse 7, it says, "We offend not, because they have sinned against the Most High." See, they know, just like mentioned in Judith 5, when I believe it was the Ammonite prince, who read our history unto the other kings of the earth, man. They know who we were, man, because in that book of Judith 5, it says, he goes through, he names the history of our people, and he basically says, look, if they've sinned against their power, we can take them. But if they're in one accord with their power, let's not even try, because we will all be destroyed, man. See, even though Israel does not consider, man, these nations know who they are. And when these nations know who they are, they know who we are, man. And again, that's perfect proof. That's perfect proof of who the nation of Israel is, man. All right, who's being, who's subject to payments, man. Such as what's the word here? Such as child care, man. What group of people is subject to those payments? What group of people has the highest incarceration rates, man? What group of people has the highest death rates, man? See, when you go into the curses, man, in Deuteronomy 28, man, it all things point to Israel, man. All those curses point to Israel, man. But I think that was pretty much it. I don't think I had any other precepts here. Deuteronomy 28, verse 26. Salaki, brothers, I'm getting ate up by these damn mosquitoes, man. It says, Deuteronomy 28, verse 26, it says, "And thy carcass shall be meat unto all fowls of the air, and unto the beasts of the earth, and no man shall fray them away." Now, our carcasses, that's a very spiritual precept here, because, our carcasses, we can line that up with Revelations 11, verse 8. It says, "And their dead bodies shall lie in the streets of that great city, which spiritually is called Sodom and Egypt, where also our power was crucified." Our carcasses goes into our dead bodies. When we were in that dead state of not knowing who we were, man, Proverbs 21, verse 16, he that walketh out of the way of understanding shall remain in the congregation of the dead. Even Yahushua said, "Let the dead bury the dead." Without this understanding, man, we're just zombies, man. And for a point, we didn't have the understanding of who we were. And so this is a very heavy precept here, because our carcass was meat unto the fowls of the air. And we know that the fowls of the air are the heathens, because they are likened unto beasts, man. All right, and we can link that up when you go into the dream that Nebuchadnezzar had in the book of Daniel. Nebuchadnezzar was the tree, and then the fowls of the earth were the other nations that were taking shade under his covering, man. And so this scripture is actually talking about, going back to Psalms 83, it's actually talking about these other nations taking a part of basically kicking us when we were in that dead state, man. And these are going to be, and these would be one of the curses, man. All right, again, everything just points back to Israel, man. Everything points back to the so-called blacks, natives, and Hispanics, man. But I'm gonna pretty much just end it up there, man. Lord willing, I do another read on this book, man. So far, I'm really enjoying it. It's a beautiful thing to see the writings of the beloved Abba Bibbens, and man, like man, he writes the same way we teach, man. Like we really have been shown, starting from the elders and the apostles, we really have been shown how to preach this truth, man. Every message, should have precepts, man. And that's exactly how the beloved Abba Bivens spoke, man. I mean, I just read one paragraph. He gave one, two, three precepts, man, in just that one paragraph, man. And it's just a beautiful thing, man. Scripture says that he would send us pastors after his own heart to feed his sheep, man. And then also Ezekiel says that the flock of his sheep are men. And so, hey, it's just a beautiful thing that, we have teachers, man. It's a beautiful thing that we are walking on the path that has already been trodden down by our elders and the apostles, man. And for that, we give double honors, man. So, hey, shalom. Until the next one, shalom.